We'll start right on time. Hello, welcome everyone. It's early, I hope you had coffee. And we'll talk about game production, so I hope you're ready for this. And more specifically, Helldivers 2 and the live production of this game. And I can't see my notes. So Nacho, if you can do your magic, please. All right, so we can start, per Helldivers tradition, with an incoming message from Super Earth. And it's a very specific brief that says that there's a threat on the Helldivers Galaxy production, where like, the scope of the field of intervention expanding, the bugs are reaching live, and we don't have enough Helldivers to deploy. So what is it? Do we have a problem with time, or not enough Jira tickets? So let's dive in to see what it means. So, as you surely understood in this talk, I want to go through what happens when you sell 20 million game with a team that has almost no live experience. And I want to be open about the challenges and the sustainability in the live production environment, what we managed to do as a studio, and what we would like to achieve in the future. But before we dive in, a short intro about me. So, I am conveniently a senior producer on the gameplay areas of Helldivers 2, so I am in charge of biomes, missions, enemies, and the game modes. And I've been a producer for around 12 years now, so you have some very nice images of the very nice game I worked on. And the most important point about me is I hate mushrooms. So, Helldivers 2, quick catch-up. It's a third-person, PvE, online co-op shooter. It's being developed by the Swedish studio Arrowhead, and it's published by Sony PlayStation. And it's been released in February 2024, and it's been live ever since. I want to show you a trailer. It is from our latest big update that was called Machinery of Oppression. It was released in February, and it's the players found the home planet of the automatons, and they are bringing the fight there. So I want to show just a bit the mood, the gameplay, and the tone. And the video is 1 minute 20, so you are a bit aware of the time it's going to take.
At last, we have reached the heart of tyranny. From here, the cyborgs have orchestrated their terrorist plots. But their precious cyberstan is not safe. From the might of democracy. Together, we will put an end to their unthinking hatred of freedom. We will dismantle their savage factories, cleanse their lands of tyranny, and overwrite their hostile code with a fresh download of liberty. The galaxy must be saved from these mechanical extremists. Cyberstan must fall.
All right, so what have we been doing for 2.5 years? So we launched in February 2024, and we first released on PC and PlayStation. And last year, in August 2025, we released on Xbox. We grew the team to 140 people internally, and we have released 80 major orders, so it's the story-based game events. On the monetization side of things, we released 24 war bonds, which are the equivalent of the battle pass, and you can spend in-game currency or real currency to unlock new gear, weapons, armor, stratagems, boosters, or cosmetics. So we've been shipping every 6 weeks, which means that we organize the work around major updates, such as the one I showed you the trailer of. They're roughly 3 times a year, and they contain really key elements of the player campaign. So for example, for Heart of Democracy, we were bringing the fight to Super Earth with weapon customization, the mega cannons that were shooting down the overships, the Illuminates overship. And we had Thief Soldiers, new Illuminates enemies. But this is not every 6 weeks. In between, we have minor releases that are usually a smaller update for something that happens somewhere else in the galaxy. For example, we will have a magma planet with mining missions that are going to help the game master foreshadow that maybe we'll go to fight the cyborgs in Cyberstan. We can have a new enemy or a variation on an existing one, but we want to give some novelty and give some unpredictability to players. And I want to just go back on the major orders, because this is the most important part, I think, of Helldivers 2. It's the same as in a tabletop RPG. The major orders that are transforming the content into an ongoing narrative campaign. So we have two very mysterious entities, the game masters called Yoel and Udit, and they write briefs for players that you can see from your ship, and they explain Super Earth current objectives and which sector they're trying to liberate or fight back. It can be liberate a planet, it can be doing a series of tasks. And these can be won or lost by the community as a whole. And so this is how the Galactic War is evolving in our game. And the incentive for players to participate in this is you can get rewards. You can have swag, so for example, this cape, but also game currency, or you can have weapons, or you can have temporary upgrades, right? But for us, it's the role-play aspect of our game. Because it's not just content updates, it's a way for us to bond with our player on a bit of a meta level. So we have this situation where the game master they go on a weekend, on Friday, and say, okay, we want them to kill 100 million Terminids. With like, you need to use all the weapons you have at your disposal. And they went on weekend, and the players finished it in 8 hours. So they had to come back and do the conclusion of this, and understand and play with the players and give them something else to do that was following this and this insane way of finishing the thing. Some players didn't even see that major order, because by the time they connected, it was already done. And sometimes players will discuss this, and some players like to play against certain factions, and they need to go on the front, and there's discussions online around who should have come for help and why were they in there. So for us, it's really, really good. So in this context, what I said to you about the Galactic War is that we want it to be interesting. So we need novelty. And the ultimate goal for us would be that the game master have an infinite toolbox, all the situations they can combine, and they can make exactly what they want, the same way a tabletop RPG game master is mastering his game, right? So for the devs, the approach for us is not just shipping one feature after the other, it's to feed the live war. And what is needed when? So from a production point of view, which is my job, it's a mix of anticipation and reactivity. So how do we do this? So in theory, and I'm insisting, in theory, every 6 weeks we should have new enemies or improved enemies, a new warband, new environments, new play styles, new rewards. And obviously we have devs that are extremely motivated by this success. And so the initial instinct of Arrowhead was to do everything and maintain a high engagement from the community with creating new exciting situations. So we really wanted every player to feel that through the major update, they're in Starship Troopers. They're in a new episode of Starship Troopers that they created. So, for example, I'm going to talk to you about this update that we called Into the Unjust, where Yoel and Udit, they planned this mysterious gloom that was happening on Terminid planets. And if the player had managed to get there, they would have gotten the Hive worlds. And we made a new Hive world, so a new planet with a new biome, with procedurally generated cave. We made a Dragon Roach, which is a new enemy. We made Rupture Wires, which are new enemies. We made the Hive Lord, which is a new enemy. But we also made new weapons, new missions that you play inside the caves, new missions that you play outside the caves, and more weapons for people to have fun. This was the Dust Devil Warband. And we released this, and there was some build-up to get there, some missed opportunities for the players, and then they got there, and it looked different, and it played different, and it feels different. So for us, novelty, 100%. And we were very, very proud of the synergies we got between the content and what the players was discovering and the emerging gameplay. The difficulty was hard, the Hive Lord is an insane boss, and then you get attacked by all the rest of the wildlife. And we were very happy because it was great. But the reality, and I don't think anyone here will contradict me on this is not doable in 6 weeks. So it takes at least 2 months to conceive a new biome and a team at 100% capacity. So we cannot ship this every 6 weeks, obviously. So we want to have a good laid out plan to get there. So unless we have a team that is three times my size, we cannot do this. So how do we do it? So we work sequentially. We are not reinventing the wheel here. So the direction establishes roughly what is the new content per faction, per milestone, based on what we roughly know where the fight is going to go. We have the gloom, so we know that we want the players to discover where the gloom comes from. It's going to be the Hive World. We know it's going to come in maybe a few months in advance. And so we spread the content we have between the teams, and we have feature teams. So missions team, biomes, enemies team, and we sequentially plan with them when they should deliver, so everything comes at the same time. And we are working more on a 12 weeks minimum time frame. We do very classic game development. I'm not going to go too long on this. Brief task, like team planning, it's fine. There's no, if you want to talk to me about this, I'm free, but I don't think it's worth, like, this is classic. So in practice, how does it look like? So if we want a small variation on an automaton, such as the Jet Brigade, where the automaton soldiers have a jetpack, we will give it to the Team A. Team B will work on a new game mode called Commando, a new game mode against the automatons. And Team C will do the Cyberstand biome. Huge buildings, roads, anywhere people need to navigate in this, it's big, it takes a lot of time. So we end up getting an alignment on the delivery date for the features that are going in the same thing. So the cyborgs need to have missions where they discover the cyborg birthing center, for example, and the automated cities. But some other team will work on something else, another incoming update. And like we are trying to grow the number of missions for other factions, for example, or new biomes. And for the Warbond, we're just alternating because the Warbonds are released every 6 weeks. So what I just said to you about how we make things is not really the problem here. Like, we know how to make content. And if you've played the game, I think we're not too bad at it. So we know how to make cool and engaging gameplay. But the problem we've faced is that creating the content right now is just half the job. Because, and we learned this the hard way, every new system we add is adding complexity and interacting with the old system in the game in a way we didn't anticipate it. And so we increase the surface area for errors. And because we have this massive sandbox with millions of configurations, we can't really fully predict everything. So we have a high level of testing, and we have a high number of concurrent users. So it doesn't really work. Our system is becoming more fragile. So do you remember when I said to you the list of features that we delivered for Into the Unjust with the dragon and with the Hive Lord and such? We're very proud of it because the content really holds up. It really works together, and the players loved it. But we also had a lot of complaints on the frame drops, on freezes, on blockers, FPS drops. One thing that we didn't fully anticipate was that when you play in difficulty 8, 9, or 10, and you have hundreds of enemies, in caves, they all are in the same place because it's corridors, and they all have the same particle effect when they attack and their death. So they all die in the same place. And GPUs hate this. So we really didn't expect that it would be so bad. So we just fixed the particle display. We had short, mid, and long-term plans. So short-term, just fix the particles. Mid-term, look at how the things are spawning. And then long term, we want to do refactoring on some components that are responsible for this, because we just made those caves that are using the same system as the spawner system as outside the caves. It is something that we didn't perceive would be that bad, and now we have fixed it, and I think people are happier now. So what we do is we communicate on the fixes, we fix, we push, we say to players. But that is the reality of making a live game, is after this milestone, we had to look at our production plan and accept that we couldn't do both. We couldn't keep a high level of content 100%, but also fix the game 100%, because I'm bad at math, it's 200%. And that's not, it's higher than what we can do, right? So we said, okay, how do we approach this? And try harder was not the answer. We needed to pivot and change our way to approach this. Because when you have too many things to do and not enough time, it's burnout. And this is what we wanted to avoid at all cost. So we decided what studio we want to be. And it meant being honest on what we were capable of doing and not what we wished we could do. So the first thing we question is, can we fix all the problems? And I want to start by saying the devs are aware of the state of the game. There's no surprise. Like, we have a big level of QA. We have internal QAs, we have external QAs, we have a test in the lab, we have Discord beta feedback, we have player sentiment reports, we have our support teams that are reading the forums in our Zendesk. But the bugs are going to be fixed by the team, and they worked on, but there's also a lot of feature requests, a lot of feature improvements that are requested by the players. And we are having a lot of conversations internally, especially, for example, on balancing. Sometimes it's design intention, sometimes the player don't like it or feel like it's unfair or doesn't work and such. So we really want to open the forums and discuss these discussions, because it's very important for us to be transparent on this. But the reality is that the permutations we have in this live environment is really, really hard to predict, and it's a lot. So we do emergency patches, and we plan fixes for the future, and we want to try to avoid new gameplay situations. So we need to down prioritize some stuff compared to others. The second thing is, even with the best dev testing, even with the best branch testing, merge testing, everything you want, the number of topics is increasing with each update because we add new systems. So now we have a huge sandbox. And if I want to take the example of the warp backpack, where you can teleport in the game, when we made the biomes, the rocks and the buildings, for example, more than 3 years ago, we didn't anticipate that maybe later on, 2.5 years or 3 years later, players will be able to teleport in the environment. So that when the colliders were made, they were fitting perfectly the guidelines at that time, but they needed to be changed after that. And I think one of the simple examples that explains to you why we can't anticipate those things, because this is the reality of game production. You can't really forecast what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years with your game. You do what you have right now with the guidelines you have. So a live game like Helldivers, any live game, they don't get simpler over time, just accumulate content and dev history. So our success created pressure to expand, but then our systems needed to support this expansion. So we're fixing the relevant problems with a priority system in Jira. This is my mandatory Jira reference as a producer. And it's helping us establish what needs a patch and what can be committed in the upcoming main branch. We plan time to fix. We hire help. So we worked with a team in the Netherlands called Nixes, who, for example, helped us on the technical problems we were having with our build size. And they reduced our build size by 85%. And we want dev to focus on priorities, not the problem they introduced. So it's a lot of conversation to take a data-driven approach rather than an emotional one. When you see on Reddit that there's a problem with you shipped, no, maybe there's something else that you need to fix. The other point I'd like to go through, it's obvious, hire more. And yes, of course, we have budget. We could have hired more. And we grew to 140 people. When you take Arrowhead, that started as a student game with Magika, and you have today 140 people, that's already huge. That's already a big improvement. But Arrowhead wants to keep lean. They want to keep a creative-driven production, which means that more people would solve more problems, if they are correctly onboarded, and that the knowledge is passed to them. And in our case, we use a proprietary engine, so the onboarding doesn't take a week, it takes months. So if we want to keep things lean, we can't have those massive gates that prevents us from keeping flowing and having those crazy ideas that are in the game right now. And there's another thing is, more people create different problems. Yes, they will solve your issues. Yes, if you give me now 10 gameplay programmers and I can give them my 100 bugs in my backlog, yes, of course, I would be super happy. But the problem is, I think these people will create problems somewhere else, because you need to know our engine, you need to know our system, you need to know our processes, and we want people to be able to just not stay siloed in their team, but we want them to be able to jump in other teams and discuss with other people and talk about their systems. And this knowledge dilutes the more you are. And there's a third point, which is that we want to maintain the culture at Arrowhead. It's strong in Sweden, and it's values that we want to have around collaboration, feedbacking, and all these things. So that's why. So what we do, we lean internally, we recruit specialists, we ask for help, we iterate on the process, and we are honest when something doesn't work. We use codevs to help, so I said Nixes, for example, on tech, or on the biomes, for example. We get better at knowledge building, and that was hard because the success increased the production cadence. So we didn't really have time to do documentation, so we want to be better at this. And then we have experts in the teams, the ones that have the knowledge around the game's history and that explain why the things are implemented the way they are. Because you have someone new that will say, why did you do it like this? And you have Anton, who's been there for 10 years, 14 years, who says, because of this and that. So there's another option, is in 2024, when we released the game, we resorted to strike teams. Strike team is a group of very competent people that we ask to solve issues. It works, yes. It is one of the best production techniques you can refer to and you can rely on. But it is not sustainable with time, because it is very targeted, it is very high pressure, high intensity, and we want to be more stable. We want to have a production cycle that is predictable, and we want to avoid the stress related to priority changes. It's exciting, you know, we've all done game jam, it's exciting, there's pressure, we're all together, and it's like we're in the flow. But on the long term, 2.5 years in, it is not sustainable. You can't stay like this. You will burn out. You will stress. You will get tired. So we want to target predictability. So one thing is using a stable and balanced system we built. Like right now, we have enough strong systems to do more with the sandbox without having to add new gameplay elements on top of it. And we really want to explore this before saying, oh, no, we need something new. And that is what we're working on right now. So I'm going to give you an example. The missions team had to work on the commando game mode, which was you need to investigate beyond the enemy lines for the automatons. And the designers were working on this feeling of infiltration, sneak, so there was no destroyer. You could reinforce if you unlocked the reinforcement on the floor. And we were supposed to steal secrets. And they're like, how? How do we get this without just picking up something? And they thought, but we made a camera. What was it? Maybe 3 years or 2 years before. They're like, oh, but what if we use that camera that we made and we use the targeting system of our guns to make the people film stuff in the game? They did a prototype. It was fun, and I was like, yes, that is the way. We don't need to reinvent everything. We need to do some new assets for everything. We can reuse stuff that we've made and we never shipped, or maybe reuse it again. Spoiler. So we make plans and we share with the players in the blog post, for example, and we say we will do the best. We will ship new things, and it's going to be fun, but give us time. So what we do here is we get alignment on priorities, like the features or the retakes, and we increase our understanding of what the players need and want. And we make plans based on this that we share with the players, like blog posts or discussions on Discord or such. And what I said is we do the best we can. So we learn and we grow. We can't do every feature that we want or that the player wants. That is something that we can't come back on. We also accept that not every cool prototype or new cool idea will make it to live. So we might want to use them in the future, but in the right configuration. So no more reactive development or jumping on all the topics. There's only a few topics that need solving immediately. So server issues, crash to desktop on a live update, or like spikes that we see with the servers. These need to be fixed immediately. But then maybe something that is less important than this doesn't need you for everyone to stress and jump on it. So what we do as a studio, we agree on a long-term plan and stable cadence. We want to work towards a more predictable production plan. Our internal team is reinforcing our systems, and we stop creating new gameplay elements. We rework features, and we only do new stuff when it's really needed and when we feel, OK, we can do it and it's fun. And we still, in those circumstances, we still have exciting things. Like, we still have a lot of ambition, but it's in a sustainable way. So, overall, we let go of the things we can do. Like, of course, we would like to have space battles. Of course, we would like to control flying vehicles. But maturity in live production is knowing which of these exciting ideas will damage the game and team. Does it mean no forever? No, but for now it is. And we have cool stuff. We've recently put a blog post out where we're talking about new ships for the players, new ways to play the campaign. So we still have stuff that is coming in that is really new and very fun. But for the rest, we need to be more stable and more predictable. So the takeaways from this talk, sorry. So the first one is maybe the hardest to hear if you're targeting a live game, if you're working on a live game, is that they're different. Live games are different. Feature development, narrative planning, community management, hot fixing under pressure, this is common to every game, but live games are doing this more often. The cadence is higher. So you have more interactions with your players, you have more hot fixing, you have more content that you want out. So you need to be ready for this level of intensity. The second is every time you ship, you are expanding the surface of area of everything that can break. And it's really, really hard in a live environment to think of everything. Like, every new enemy interacts with everything. Like, so you need to think of nav mesh, colliders, weather effects, all these things. Every mission in the game, every weapon reacts to everything, every vehicle, mech, stratagems. Because we want the game master to be able to associate everything with everything, ultimately, we need to make sure that this works accordingly. So teams need to talk to each other, test each other's content, and we will make mistakes. There's no way that we can predict everything, but we have a production plan that is supporting fixing this. The third item is your team needs to know what's coming, because things change due to the live environment, and the reprioritization of things is tiring, and it has a toll on the trust between you and your team. So your production cycle needs to be the most trustworthy as possible and leave time for changes, but not massive changes. We're not pivoting 180 degrees anymore. So this is very important if you're indie, because when you're indie, you're smaller. When you're smaller, you think, it's fine to pivot, it's fine to throw away, it's fine to change. Yes, I agree. And probably you'll have a better idea, or probably your game will be better. But in the long run, predictability is where you are preventing people from burning out. And this is the key for you. And at last, I'm saying this in all my talks. Saying no, as long as you explain why, be it to your colleagues, to your leads, to your players, is OK. And this, in the morning, when you're preparing yourself every day, like, saying no is OK, because I can explain why. And this implies letting go as a habit. It is not just, oof, I need to build up and say no to a thing. It's like you're doing a prototype that is becoming too big, and you know it. Just stop it. Have the conversation, explain. I think this is becoming too big. I think we're going the wrong way. If you think that something that you're making is going to take months, and you have weeks, producer math, again, doesn't fit. So be logical. Remove, like we do variations on content, remove some. Like the stuff that you know won't be seen, or is just because you're stressed and you feel it's not going to be enough. It is going to be enough. Say no. And if you pivot late, it needs to be really extremely justified. Like, pivoting never leads to anything good, unless it's really something that you know is going to be fundamental for the game. But often it's more like you have another idea that you think is better, or like you're going in a direction and someone will say to you, no, what are you doing? What is the intention? Do you have time? Is it good? So bear in mind that you're very creative. There will always be an idea. There will always be a next iteration. And then you have infinite ideas, but your energy is limited. So this is a balance to say, right? So the conclusion of this is that a live game is never finished, and the team behind it need to survive. So Arrowhead right now is learning how to build more with less, and we are learning what not to do. And so I hope you've taken some stuff from this, even if you're not working on a live game and you're working on an indie game. And I'm ready here to receive your questions if you're ready for it. I made that with my team. The performance were great on the explosion.
Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta, le acerco el micro. Anyone has a question?
If not, I can get a coffee.
Okay.
Hi, Laura. Hello. So I have a couple of questions. My first question would be if you're concerned about the future of producers as a role with increasing development of AI. My second question would be, because I've noticed that you worked on Expedition 33, and I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about it without breaking any NDA. And I'm especially interested in knowing if you had the chance to work together with the cinematics team. Thank you.
What was the last sentence you said? If I had the opportunity to
with the cinematics team, if you had the chance to work with them.
So the production AI, yeah, that is strong right now because I can see some colleagues that are experimenting with AI and what they do and such. It's more like automation of the tedious tasks that we're doing. But there's every time I see production plans made with AI, they are missing the heart of this. I say often that production is 70% soft skill, 30% technique. And when we ask AI to make production plans, it's going to go for technique, which is, why not? But for me, it's 30% of the role. When I make my decisions, when I make my production plans, I take into account the team. I take into account their profiles. I take into account their stress level, their tiredness. And it is not just, I think there's a fantasy, and it was like super strong 5 years ago, that we want 100% predictability, which means that we want people to be able to estimate to the minute. We want people to track their velocity. And I think this went into more of a data-driven approach of production that is AI gonna fill, if that's what you want to do. And I think maybe it's needed in gigantic studios when you're 1,000 people working on a project. That is not my approach. My approach is more human-driven. And so that is the thing that I'm fighting. At Arrowhead, I'm not receiving any input whatsoever in the sense of using AI. I think it's a company that wants to be very human-based and very individual because this is where creativity comes from. Expedition 33, I was a consultant on production, so I intervened at the beginning. And that's Chips and Music. That's a teaser for you for the next conference at 11. Yeah, so Expedition 33, I did some consulting work on production plan. So the work was more for me to go in and look at everything, all the documentation they had, all the plans they made, and make sure they were realistic and how they were not working, and make suggestions to them in terms of how you can compensate for it. So didn't work on the cinematics, but I know people who worked on it, if you want to talk to them.
Thank you.
Hello, Laura. Thank you for your talk. I have a question about how the production time is divided between bringing new content, fixing bugs or issues that come from that new content and implementing feedback from the player. Thank you.
Is it what the how we split this?
Yes, a week of production time, maybe. Well, half of the week is time for new content.
Yeah. We're bad at context switching. So if we split a week in two, it doesn't work. So we split weeks. We're more working like this. I think it's more because our systems are very complicated. So when people go down the mine, we need to give them time to be able to find some stuff and come back. So if we say, I know I've worked in studios where we were like, oh, Friday is about bug fixing, for example, versus full weeks. And at Arrowhead right now, the teams really want to split. So we do some phase for the content, some phase for bug fixing and live and all these things.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. My doubt is, do you think you are using this method in your other projects, like, for example, Expedition 33 or the Regins, The Witcher? Because I think it's too easy to forget, like you are applying this to Helldiver 2, but maybe when you jump in another project, it's like, no, we have to continue, we have to go.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one because I will adapt the method to the team and not the other way around. I have convictions. I have stuff that I've seen work. I know, like, agile with like planning on a Monday and 2 weeks of development. I've seen this work when it's well done, and there are teams with which it won't work. And there's no need for me to try to implement it, because the brutality in which I will have to implement this versus because I want people ultimately to own the things. So what I do is I try to find what works. And if it's waterfall, it's waterfall. And I've seen too many dogmas, and especially if you listen to a big conference, where people say, oh, the only way to make things is agile and Scrum. I am not on that side. I think people, there's the lowest step, which is what people are already doing, and I will rely on this, even though my personal conviction is that it doesn't work. I will make it work. So it depends really. I have a base. Like, for me, task tracking with a priority system, for example, is the base. If it's Jira, because it's our tool, but you can use anything else. You can come to me and say, I want to use post-its on the wall. I will do a priority system with the post-its on the wall. But I will do the things that people are already doing. And I know I've seen too many people come to me and say, but we should be using something else. And I'm always saying, okay, show me why. What is this new system that you're coming up with is helping more what we're doing right now? What are you trying to solve? So I usually say, what are the 3 main things you're trying to solve with this new tool that our current system doesn't solve? And we work from there. And I will iterate on what we have already. And if I come to a studio and they do Trello, which is the equivalent of the post-it on the wall, I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I will push Trello to the point where it comes from the team themselves to say, oh, but we're limited because we want to do this and it doesn't work. And then I will come with a solution that is close to Trello, instead of coming in and saying, no, so you need to go all in Jira. When it's a team of 10 people who are like ultra creative, they're going to be like, I can't take 5 minutes to write a ticket. So I will do it only if we get to that point, or if it's already in the team or something like this. But this came with my seniority. When I was a young producer, I would come on and say, oh, we absolutely need to do it like this because I saw a GDC talk and it's solving all the problems in the world. No method is solving all the problems in the world. People are. And because people are, they need to be at the front and center of what you decide. So my methods are varying from one team to the next, even at Arrowhead. The baseline is always the same. What I want to get is always the same, but the way I'm getting there is different. And I think it's very important to have that approach as a producer, if I can convince any of you. I think this is the way.
¿Hay más preguntas? Por ahí.
Hello, Lara. Really like your talk. Thank you. My question was with how the situation is in the industry about live service games and the probably burnout from the gamers about them. Did you struggle as a team with fear about I don't know getting cancelled or have to fire people and all that stuff? Did you struggle with that?
Yeah. So we're obviously very, very connected with what's happening around. Like our offices are literally under DICE. So yes, we are lucky. That is the most honest answer I can give you. Right now, we're lucky. We've been thinking a lot of how we do things and why we do things, and we are lucky enough to be solid. And that's all I can say. So it's a bit of in an industry where studios are closing and live games are getting rid of people who are working on their games, we are just a bit of an island, I would say. Right now, a bit protected. But yeah, that's only the thing. I can only say this.
Thank you so much.
Hello, nice to meet you. And first of all, I have to say, I think it's a really cool video game and with a cool aesthetic. So my question was a little bit out of topic. I'm just well, I like video games. I have always liked them. And what do you think about solo dev at first? Like, for example, because I guess what the level of development of that video game requires, like all the methodologies, like Agile, all that stuff. But at first, I guess it's just, for example, some engine like Godot, for example, or Unity. Personally, I'm going more into Godot, 2D indie game. But what do you think is the most important, maybe concepts to have in mind when going, like, I guess solo, maybe find other one, maybe or other people.
You mean to succeed as a solo dev, or
to have a video game done? I mean,
start small and ship, and do the second one and ship, and do the third one and ship. Because every iteration of the game that you're going to make is going to build up some knowledge, technical knowledge, market knowledge. How do you put it on the stores and such? And by the time you get to your 10th, it could be good. But I think we have, right now, we're in a timeline that is so tense in terms of fundings, video game made, like successes and such, that I have not seen much of solo devs succeed on the first game, but I've seen them succeed on the 10th game. And the first game doesn't need to be big. Like, can be small, just ship it. That is the thing that I say to all the people, we ship it. And then make the next one, and make the next one, and then learn on top of it. I think what is hard with solo devs is, when I say no, are you going to say no to yourself? Look yourself in the mirror. No, you shouldn't be doing this. Of course you're going to do it, because you're on your own. So it's how you just fix a target date and just ship at that date. And this is the advice I say to even like solo devs who have been working on big games and such. Ship it, and then make the next one. You have infinite ideas. We know this. I don't know you, I know it. So yeah, ship it. And then do the next one.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, thank you so much for the talk. I wanted to ask you, because I really like, thank you for all the things that you're explaining and your mindset. And how did you got into production and learn all these things? Because at least for myself, I find it really hard to learn production outside of just like being in the ring and doing and working as a producer. And sometimes I'm like, I would like to have some kind of professional resource or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's hard. It's hard. There's only, so I learned like you. I just got a job and I went in and I made mistakes and I made mistakes and I made mistakes. until I was like, oh, okay, so there's a wall here, and I need to stop hitting it with my face. I need to and I watched GDC talks, I read books, and I talked to senior people. The advice that we were giving 10 years ago, because I'm French, was like, go work at Ubisoft. Because Ubisoft has verticality, a lot of producers, and you're going to learn the methods. And then from there, you will build your own vision of what is production based on this. But right now, I think it's going to be super hard. So it's just find peers and just discuss with them. You can reach me on LinkedIn, and I can give you advice. But unfortunately, right now, it's just doing. Doing, failing, trying again, experimenting in a possible control environment. But yeah, I was lucky to find studios who welcomed me as a complete newbie. And I was just trying stuff. They trusted me, which is why I'm where I am right now, but it was hard.
Thank you very much.
Anyways.
Hi. You mentioned Starship Troopers, and maybe it's a bit of an off-topic question, but when your game is basically a parody. But when you are making a parody about something, but you are adopting the aesthetics of the propaganda that you are parodying, have you have to deal with how do you make the distinction between actually being a parody or people confusing it for the real thing? Because it is something that actually happened to Starship Trooper at the beginning, right? It wasn't perceived as a parody when it came out. Have you had this problem?
No, I think no. No, I think it's very obvious. We've been continuing in that direction ever since. So I think right now, because the game has been out for 2.5 years, it's been categorized as a parody. So we don't have that problem.
Okay, thank you.
¿Más preguntillas?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Laura.